vibing on a vibe. Tempo, we smoking my eye. We go 0 to 65, vibing out the way. Get yours, stay alive. Bendo, vibing on a vibe. Tempo, we smoking my eye.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Nikey Joe Show, a special Saturday AM edition for us over here. However, a nice Saturday afternoon edition for those across the globe. We have a special guest with us today. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is MCD, or maybe you know me as MCD of WCR, which is my YouTube name now. But yeah, my name is MCD. Hello, how is everyone?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am good, thank you. It's disgusting outside today. It's England how you would imagine it, just pouring with rain and grey and awful.
Is that how it always is there?
Huh?
Is that how it always is there?
Oh, yeah, 90% of the time, 100%. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Why do you live there?
Why do I live there?
Yeah.
Because I was born here. England is my home.
So you are from England, which is something we haven't had on the Nikey Joe Show yet. Anything from across the globe or not in America.
Haven't you had Rogue?
I haven't. Oh yeah, I guess I have had Rogue.
There you go. He was the first.
He was one of my first people. Yeah, my first UK guy. I'm sorry, MCD, you're not as special anymore.
That's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine with losing to Rogue. I'll take it.
But you are one of our more, I guess, rounded out, where you're also, I know Rogue produces too, but you also do videography and you do a lot of different stuff. Tell us a little bit about, I guess we'll dive right in. Tell us a little bit about, MCD and what you do in the industry from every angle of entertainment.
I'm a bit of I guess, a jack of all trades, master of none. I enjoy making music. Obviously, I have for a long time. I also enjoy making videos because I'm a bit of a cinematography nerd. I love movies and I always have, and music videos. So I do a bit of that as well. A mixture of both. And yeah, that is what I do.
So when I first joined WCR, your one of your main releases was actually one of the videos and songs you recorded, Norman.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a little bit, because that was one of my favorite things and I never got sick of editing it and watching it over and over. It was such a good video, and you did that all yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yep, on my
and
phone.
You did it on an iPhone, right?
That's right. Yeah, I did it on an iPhone.
No excuses, guys.
No, honestly, it's making videos is more accessible than ever now because phones have really good cameras. The iPhone has something called cinematic mode, which fakes depth of field. It you can have you in focus and it blurs the background, which gives everything a very nice cinematic feel. But I just really wanted to make a kind of like a short horror film with a song at the same time. It's like Michael Jackson, when he made Thriller, was like a short movie and a music video all in one. So I kind of wanted to do something similar. Obviously, nowhere near as talented, but it was fun, man. Like, me and Ryan wrote, I think, quite an unusual song. It's a weird song. It's kind of, I don't know what genre you'd put it in, really.
I feel like it's like a horrorcore, but it's like a psychological one. It's more than that, because it's
got
not related
like gospel vibes as well. Like, the actual track has it's a weird one.
It's almost like the salvation of the killer. Type beat.
And I love true crime and horror. I mean, like you see, I love horror stuff. So I wanted to do something with that. I like true crime, reading about serial killers and the psychology behind why human beings do the fucked up things they do. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And
Do you study the psychology behind it when you were writing?
yeah, I mean, I read a lot in my spare time. I wanted to do a degree in criminal psychology. I just don't have the time. But I just find the whole psyche really, really, really interesting. And yeah, I mean, I was a bit worried that I was going to get some backlash for the video because it actually came out, I think, a couple of weeks before Dharma came out on Netflix with Evan Peters, and people kind of think it's glorifying serial killers, but that's not what we were trying to do. We were trying to just make a video and song exploring the psychology behind why people end up doing the horrible things they do, because I can't understand it because I'm not a serial killer or a psychopath. I find it so interesting because it's so far away from what I think and how I act. So yeah.
Yeah. So seeing the other side of the coin and really understanding it, it's almost like bringing positive and negative into like a duality to
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. From I guess getting into that state of mind too, because that was always kind of, I've never really seen a project like that either, and it was really interesting to me, and I loved it. I still love it. But like getting into that type of mindset and stuff, what was your actual like process behind like writing the song and stuff, the creative process, I guess, and like getting into that mindset? I feel like of somebody else to write is almost like acting. You know, you have to really feel that to be able to write it, and the way that you did even express it when you're in the video, even without the video, the song, you know, obviously you're a very talented artist, you know, so you can definitely feel the things. So like what was your creative process between writing it and getting into that mindset to be like that? You know, aside from just watching true crime and stuff, like, is it hard to get into that mindset since it's so different from who you are?
Yeah, it's kind of like playing a character, isn't it? It's if you listen to quite a lot of my music, I do that weird horrorcore kind of off the wall serial killery stuff. I remember it was coming up to, it must have been around Halloween sort of time actually, and I was just like, I just really want to do a horror themed video around this time of year because we'd wanted to do something like that for a couple of years, but then every autumn we just forget about it or do something else. And yeah, I guess I just put myself in the kind of headspace of like an amalgamation of all the true crime stories I've read, you know, on all the famous serial killers like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Dennis Nilsen, for example, and kind of like blended them all together into like one character with their kind of backstory and lore. And then I tried to incorporate some quite serious tones in there as well about how these people are created. And I sent it to Ryan, and he is great in the sense that he will try new things because he is by trade, he's a swing singer. So that's what he used to do for, not for a living, but that he do shows and it was swing and stuff.
Yeah.
And but he tries new things, and I sent that, and he came back with that mother, you know, the whole intro, the creepy ass.
Yeah, I love that part of it. It pulls you in.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it just came together really nicely. We both loved the instrumental when we came across it, and I think we put it together, recorded, mixed, mastered it within a day. Like it was all done and ready to go. And then I storyboarded the video over the next week, and just we went out, bought some smoke grenades, some flares and stuff, a wig, a really terrible wig, and yeah, we got together and shot it in one day.
Was great.
Huh?
That wig was great.
No, it's so bad. A couple of people thought it was my actual hair though, and were like, "Get your hair cut," and I was like, It doesn't look like my hair at all." But it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'd love to do more like that, to be honest.
Yeah. I enjoyed it too. It was the first I've seen of its kind. And then finding out like, you're like, yeah, I did it all on the iPhone. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
this really,
I
like,
wanted
I have
to,
no excuse.
I wanted to see what was possible because, like you say, phones are really good. We borrowed my dad's warehouse, and I took a portable green screen into the warehouse to get the shots of me levitating and stuff. And then I had to keel that out in post, and it actually looks quite good. I was quite pleased with how that shot looks, where I like come off the ground and stuff.
Really,
and we had some cut shots that weren't in the video. There's one of Ryan being levitated in the woods. I'll have to share them at some point because they look pretty cool, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So for that, I mean, I know that you have done other videos too. Obviously, you're a videographer. You run Visuals by Them. If anybody hasn't heard of it, if you want to give a little background about that.
Visuals by Them is just sort of a name I use to, I guess, as a business when I freelance and do visual work for other people like musicians, rappers mainly, who want lyric videos or visualizers for their projects. The name comes from because I'm part of a smaller group with Loose Logic, Coulter, people like that, called Them. And
Okay.
So nothing to do with like pronouns and stuff. It's weird how that all kind of took off at the same time. I was like, but it's more like, like 50s horror boom.
Chose a neutral one.
Yeah, exactly. Like 50s B-movie horrors, like The Thing from the Swamp, like Them. That's what we kind of wanted it to be. That's why the font is kind of like a horror font. But yeah, I decided to be Visuals by Them, and I think Cryptic is called, what's he called? He's called like Mixing by Them or something, Mastering by Them. So we kept all for our little sub ventures.
Side.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Dice offered to buy the name off me, but I'm not selling it. So
I'm sure he was petty about that.
Nah, he was fine. He was fine.
So for your music, I guess, journey, I jumped right into Norman because it's probably one of my favorite projects. That's really got me to even share you with my siblings, who you're one of their favorite WCR artists.
That's very kind. Thank you.
You do a lot of the stuff. You're so unique compared to a lot of the artists where you do the scream and stuff like that, and they're a lot into rock and the harder and the horror stuff. I'm more Sunshine Bubble.
Well, different strokes for different folks.
For sure. And that's what I was like, okay, like that's something when I started, actually like looking more into all the WCR's music and stuff, when I found them, I was like, oh, like seeing that there's just every avenue on WCR. It's not just rap. It's not just, music reviews. I'm like, oh, wow, there's videos being done, services that are being offered by, Visuals by Them, or like mixing by anybody in there. You know, I think that you too, don't you?
What's that?
I think you mix too, don't you? Do you mix?
Yeah, I mix and master my own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you do everything.
A little bit of everything. A little bit.
How did you get started doing music?
So I must have been about the year, I don't know, 2000, 2001. And I've always loved music, but I never really thought about making it. And I remember my friend showed me, he'd printed out some text lyrics where he'd been battling on an internet forum, like rap battling, just text. And I just thought it was super cool that, you could basically get into these battles with people and insult each other with rap lyrics and stuff. Obviously, I knew what rap was by this point. I just didn't really know too much about the battle scene. So I started doing that online, just text battling. And then my friend got a microphone and a cracked version of Cool Edit Pro, and was like, come round, we'll record a song. And that's how it started. That was my first ever audio, was recorded in 2001, and it was a verse on a song called The Time Has Come, and it was dog shit. But I remember how scary it was and how hard in my head I was also like, I'm going to sound like this, it's going to be amazing. And then when I actually came to put my vocals down, I had like very little sense of rhythm. My flow was all over the place, sounded horrible. But there was something incredibly cool and like novel about mixing down an MP3 and then burning it onto a CD and having it in your Discman and listening to yourself. So it was just addictive. And then from there, we were making like 3 or 4 songs a day, just sitting there all day, just making really terrible songs. And that's how it started for me, really.
Do you still have all your really terrible beginnings?
I don't. So I have some, but not the first ever one, which is a bit sad because my friend's house burnt down and he lost his hard drive, unfortunately.
Oh, damn.
But
Sorry.
But then I borrowed, my sister had a karaoke microphone, and I got myself another cracked version of Cool Edit Pro and used the karaoke, like this $5 karaoke microphone that just sucks. I've still got those. I might share them at some point because they're fucking horrendous. Yeah.
We need to share a compilation of everybody's like first,
the
earliest songs they own.
My voice is so high. It is really weird. And I don't know, it's horrible.
So, going from, text battling, how did you end up finding WCR or them, I guess?
Them, I'm not even sure how them started now. I can't remember. I think Coulter just messaged a load of us one day. Basically, me and him didn't get on at first, actually. We didn't like each other because Coulter is abrasive, I would say. He's incredibly talented and he's a great dude, but he is so confident in himself that he can be he doesn't bullshit, basically. If he doesn't like something, he won't be nice about it. He'll be like, no, that sucks, you need to do this or whatever. But anyway, we made friends in the end. I can't remember quite how. And then Loose Logic and everyone came aboard. And then with WCR, so there's another guy in the Discord, Soul, his name is. He doesn't post that often, but I used to be on a forum called Rap Royalty, which again, Loose Logic was on there as well. He was like, oh, you need to do a song with my buddy Cody Nash. And I was like, sure, put me in touch. We did a song called Exposure. And that's how I got to know Cody. And then one day I was just invited to a Discord group, and they were all taking over rapbattles.com, which is it's a legendary forum, Rap Battles. Like, we were all part of that, and we didn't even know each other then. I mean, I was a member there from 2003, and it's really weird reading posts when we were there at the same time but didn't interact with each other. And they added me to a group, and then one day they were just like, because at first I was trolling a bit and messing around and not really taking anything seriously, because I've seen these groups come and go, over the years. You get, oh, let's all start this super group together, we'll do this and that and this, and then a couple weeks later no one's talking, it's inactive, and it just dies out. So at first I was just messing around, and they were like, stop fucking around, here, you're a moderator now, you're part of the group. So I started taking it seriously, and we're still here. It's been a few years now.
Years. 2, 3.
I want to say 3.
3? Yeah,
So,
I joined in November of 2022.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's still going, and obviously you guys, we got like the documentary coming out, and it's huge. It's getting bigger and bigger. It's not shrinking. It's it's really growing, so it's exciting.
Hey, you got Jamin Shabs and YouTube saying exposure was on my beat.
Was it? See, this is what I mean. Like, it's all, everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows each other, which is cool, I think. And I saw Cody was in a competition called King of the Bar 3, and I caused some controversy because I made a video about how I think it was rigged. And so it's weird again because like we didn't really know each other then, but we know each other now. So yeah.
Wild. So between them, okay, who's all in them? Coulter, Luce, you, Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch, Self Savior.
I didn't know that.
So yes, he's in it.
Okay.
And a few others. I can't remember the names. I'm not as active in there as I used to be. I kind of check in and check out every so often, but yeah.
That was kind of leads towards my next question. Like, you know, between them, you know, videography, doing music, you know, everything in life and WCR, like, how do you balance your roles throughout life? Like even as a rapper versus videographer versus mixographer, engineer?
Badly. It's hard. Like I obviously I have a kid now, and you know, free time is a bit at a premium, but my partner's great. She lets me, but she encourages me and wants me to have free time to do these things. Yeah, so I when I'm not with my kid, I am sat right here at this PC doing stuff. And of course I do like reaction videos now as well, so that's another thing that takes up time.
With the Tuesday show now coming back too.
The Tuesday show is back as well, so yeah, so it's a lot, but I feel I need stuff like that. It's weird though because obviously it's just been summer and I've just been really quiet. I haven't done anything for a few months, but once summer's over I get really, really active until like next summer. And I think it's because winter is so shit, especially in this country, that I need projects to keep my mind off it. So that's what I do. Basically, you just have to find time. If you love doing stuff, you will find time somehow. And that is basically what I do.
I like that. I know balancing is really hard. That's one of the main things that I always do like to ask all the artists because it's something that I've had issues with myself too. So getting little tidbits of advice. We did have Tristana in YouTube asking the date for your new album. Last they heard it was mastering.
Oh, yeah. I literally have one more thing to record, which is the collab with Rogue, actually. And then I've just got to like tweak things and add some polish to it all. I am desperate for it to come out because I'm desperate to start my next one. Because I want to do a follow-up to The Upside Down, which came out a few years ago. This one's just more fun. It's a bit more like I'm just going to rap the craziest off-the-wall shit and not care. And just, do you know what I mean? It's a bit more like loose.
Yeah.
And
just having fun with it instead of being so technical. And
yeah, whereas The Upside Down, you know, I've got to sing and it's got to sound
good. It's
good.
a very serious album.
Yeah, so this is just more fun, a bit more silly. There's a couple of serious tracks, but it's just
what genre is it?
I'd say I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of like, I mean, there's horrorcore in there, but it's more, I'd say it's like a throwback to 90s hip hop. It's quite boom bappy.
Nice.
Which, because you know, I am a rapper by trade, but I feel like over the last few years I've done synthwave and metal, so it's kind of nice to go. Actually, no,
80s music, yeah.
So it's kind of nice to be like, actually, no, I'll go back to like raw hip hop basically, but make it silly because I'm not a gangster, I'm not a gangbanger, I'm not violent. I'd just so
Yeah.
you know. But soon,
Uh,
next week or two, I will get it sorted.
awesome. Jamin said for your upside down next album, the right side up.
Yeah, maybe the right side up. Yeah, because I want to do a I was going to do a short EP called Welcome to Hawkins, I think it was going to be called, which was just like a few synthwave tracks that I've already kind of written, and then do a full chapter 2 with loads of features, because I like getting features on my albums. One, because it lightens the workload, but also two, I just like giving other artists a platform to do stuff, and it elevates my own work, like hearing what they do. So I think I pick good features, and I think I pick quite good beats. So we'll see how it goes.
So for your collaborations, you know, because I know that you do features. I think that like even like the Cypher I did with you, I loved that. That's probably my favorite one. I can't find it though.
What was the? I like the diss track we did to that guy. Do you remember the diss track? Do you remember the diss track we did to that Jake Hayes?
Oh yeah,
I liked that one. That was cool.
I forgot about that one.
That was a good one.
I forget about the ones that aren't like out, you know. Oh god, the only diss track I've ever made.
No, it's good.
But so for your collaborations, I know that you've said that it's important for you, you know, for other artists too, and I agree. Like, and there's something about collaboration that just gives you that extra edge to your music, that other perspective to create something bigger that might affect more people. For your collaborations, how do you choose who to collaborate? Like, even both as a rapper or looking for singers, and like what qualities do you tend to look for? When is it based on the song?
I will hear an instrumental, for example. I'll spend hours and hours and hours combing through instrumentals, and then I will sit down and I'll start writing, and usually I'll be like, now who would sound good on this sonically? And you know, like for example, I see VA and I've only just brought up the chat. I didn't know I could see it. I see VA there. He's on a track, but it's a pretty hard. I called when I mixed it down, I called it real shit for VA when I sent it, the file over to him, because I could hear him on it, and he smashed it. And like, there's another one with Dice called Go Gorillas, and I could hear him on it. Like, he's got a really smooth voice that just suited the beat. I always try and envision what people will sound like on it. I know some people probably don't bother and they just sling it over and be like, oh, can you do something on this? And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But no, I always think beforehand who's going to sound good on this. And I think that stands me in good stead. I think it works.
Do you ever, when you're accepting collaborations, say someone's sending to you, are you selective about selecting when someone's offering you a collab?
No, I'll do anything. I'm a
absolute. I know there's some artists that are selective. Some are like, send me some shit.
No, I'm an absolute whore. I'm an absolute whore. I just do anything.
Absolute whore.
What up, Mitchell in the chat? Cryptic there in the chat. How's it going, mate? Yeah, no, I'll do anything. I feel like I remember about 15 years ago, I decided I was going to try all kinds of different styles so I would become as versatile as possible. And I think I am actually quite versatile. I know some people get put off by some of my subject matter sometimes when it's a bit horrorcore or weird or out there. But I can do like normal rapping too, you know. Cover of Stray Kids. Do you know what my partner suggested I should make either a cover of a Stray Kids or BTS or someone track, or try and make a K-pop track. I know K-pop is like a umbrella of several different genres, but in that kind of vein. So like I could do a track that blends like house, hip hop, trap, dubstep, you know, just do this crazy track. I will do that at some point. Just not sure when. I need to shake some of the rust off first because I am a bit rusty after the summer of doing nothing. But no, I definitely like to give that a go.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I'd love to hear something like that. I love me some dub and some house. For your journey through music, can you tell me about one of the, I guess, biggest, most memorable moments that you've had?
I let me think. It would probably be the number 3 UK dance chart hit in 2012-ish.
Woo.
That I did guest vocals on. That was a big deal at the time. That was pretty wild. That was a house producer called Rudenko. He's Russian. He put me up in a hotel in London for 5 days, and we wrote a track together, and it got to number 3 in the UK dance charts. So that was probably the biggest
That's sick.
thing like that happened to me. And then there was a music video made for it, and it was shot in Bucharest, I think. And I couldn't make it, so I had to give them permission to get an actor to do my vocal parts, and it is it's the weirdest thing, right? Because they hired a black guy, right? So, which just looks so strange to hear my voice. It doesn't look right at all.
Yeah,
It's
your
like
voice is that's like
yeah,
it's just a different tone.
exactly. I was like, you should have just hired a fucking weedy looking white guy to do it, because it's weird. You can go and check it out. It is strange to hear my voice come out of it. But the track's called Stranger. It's a good track. It's it came number 3. It did all right. He opened the Winter Olympics a year later.
Oh,
So quite a big deal.
when they were in Russia?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Nice. That's so cool. That's I wonder how many people in our community have had their music chart. Honestly. That's really cool. Awesome accolade.
Yeah.
Did anything come from that? Like anything more?
No, not really. We kind of drifted apart. I met some people and networked with people. It was a weird time for me though, because I was kind of ending up almost like a house session vocalist, which is fun and it's cool, and I love house, I really do, but I don't 100% think I'm suited for it. And so it kind of just petered out as I started doing my own thing again. And I have a bit of a problem with being in control. And I think because this guy, he came over, he had a literal briefcase of money. He was younger than me. He showed me he had 30-40 grand just in cash.
How did he find you?
He found me because I heard he had a song I heard on the radio, and I really liked it, and I was like, I'm going to do a vocal remix of this track, and I recorded it and I sent it to him on MySpace, and he got back in touch like, I love it, and that's how it all started. Then he was like, I'm coming out. Yeah, he's like, I've rented a studio in England, I'm coming over to London. And yeah, that was how that all happened. It's a shame it all petered out, but I just can't.
Everything happens how it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just don't know if I suited that genre particularly.
But it's still another little hat that you got to wear to actually learn that genre a little bit more as an artist, instead of just, loving house as a listener, and maybe, I'm sure you probably produce house. It's kind of possibly was a little avenue that you had to go down to, have that under your hat too, because that's something that you also said is you like to expand and try a little bit of everything. Have you found your voice by doing all of that?
I think so. I think like the only thing I think left to do for me, I'd quite like to do a grunge album, because I like the rock stuff. And and I feel like grunge is something I've not really done, and I think my voice might actually suit it. But I feel like I've kind of done everything vocally that I need to do, and I'm most comfortable now doing either the silly off the wall stuff, the rock stuff, or the synthwave stuff. One of those three. But I'm always trying to. I always want to do new. I'll hear a style of music that I've not really heard before and be like, I want to try that. Like, you know, dark pop, for example, when like Billie Eilish and all that came around, I was like, oh, do you know what? Maybe I'll try some of that. I haven't, but I probably wouldn't now, but I did want to when I first heard it. So yeah, I always want to try new stuff.
Good note for anybody that's watching this, any new artists that watch this, like, don't be afraid to, you know, reach out to, like, he sent a song, you know, out to somebody that he had remixed that he liked, and ended up all of that happening just from doing something, taking action, putting yourself
100%.
out there. You have to put yourself out there.
And nowadays you've got like TikTok and all the social media platforms. I'm not saying it's easier to get in touch with artists now, because it's probably actually harder, because it's so easy to do that they probably get spammed all the time. But you got to take a chance, you know?
You got to. It's the only way you get anywhere.
100%.
What are your I guess, since you've been in music quite some time, how have your goals in music shifted with you, you know, trying different things and such? What is your goal of doing music? Do you just do it because you love it? Do you want to be a name? You know, do you want to get out there and live off of your music?
So yeah, it has changed. I did want to like be a star, I guess. I did sign a dodgy record deal in about 2013.
Dodgy.
And it was weird because I don't know if you know, I've got a song called When You Come Home, which is about my sister who passed away, and about our troops abroad in like Afghanistan and stuff. I kind of tied the two together. And they loved that track, and they kind of signed me off the back of that. And suddenly they were like, right, we want you to shoot a video, but we want you to change it so it's a generic love song. And it's about, you know, just a boy likes girl, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, nah, I'm not doing it. And they were like, well, you're going to have to, because you signed, you know, this contract and stuff. And I just kicked up such a fuss and just basically said, well, I'll see you in court, whatever. And they eventually, because I knew a few people with music law and stuff, they dropped it, and we shredded my contract. So that was fun. That was my brief stint as a signed artist, and that kind of like disillusioned me on the music industry. Like I don't think I could be controlled, because I need my creative freedom and expression, which is why I think music nowadays is great, because you can do it from home. And there are a lot of self-made artists out there. It's easier than ever, still hard, obviously, but easier than ever to be self-made. And because if you can like video edit, mix, master, make music, you've got a fair chance of being able to make something, you know, without having people control you and change things you don't want to change and stuff like that. So, but now I just do it because I enjoy doing it, and I'd love to be able to make something of myself, you know, like, but I would like to be able to control everything myself. And obviously it'd be awesome to make, you know, money from it to support me and my family. But I would do it regardless, because I enjoy making music and I enjoy making videos. So whatever happens, I'm going to keep doing it.
For the dodgy record deal that you got in, Is that one of the biggest lessons you think that you've learned throughout your journey so far? Is like, I don't know if it was like a backwards deal, was it worded funky? Like, was it just, you
It's
were a
just,
kid and was like, yeah, well, not really a kid, but it was 10 years ago,
yeah,
11 years ago.
100%. Like, people, you see a contract, you sign it, you're excited, you're like, this is it, holy shit, and I post on social media, today I signed a record deal, and suddenly people who couldn't give a fuck about you for most of your life suddenly are your best mate. And it was exciting, but then they are quite intimidating, like executives, I guess. They think you don't know. I mean, I don't know legislation, I don't know the law, but I do know people who do, and I will always get advice from
Yeah.
people, and they intimidate you, and they try and bend you to their will. They want you to do things they think are marketable, and I obviously know there is a degree of you've got to be marketable, otherwise you're not going to sell. But they bully you, they bully people, and there are people out there who don't have avenues to get advice and stuff, and they think, I've signed this contract, I have to do what they say, otherwise my life will be ruined. I could go to jail, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was a big lesson to I guess not trust the music industry. I know it's always been shady because we hear stories all the time, but that was firsthand, experience. And I'm sure there are great people in the music industry. I'm sure there are great executives, and I'm sure there are great labels, but that wasn't one of them. So I'm glad I got out of it just by sheer willpower, and just like, I think I was more trouble than it was worth. So they just were like, oh, fuck off. But I'm glad. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. You think that was the biggest lesson that you've learned and the biggest challenge, I guess? It's a pretty big one. That's why I reverted back to that one.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Like, just taught me, I guess it taught me a lot about myself as well. Like, I can't sell my soul to, I'll always, I know some people can. This is the thing. Like, some of these stars will do whatever they're told. They will make stupid music, even if they don't like it. They'll do silly things on camera. They'll do anything. They'll basically sell their soul for fame. And I've learned that I can't do it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that just says a lot about your integrity and your character. And you did say that you are generally a person that needs to be in control.
Oh yeah, I'm a control freak as well. That is an issue. Yeah, so
you just be fighting all the time.
100%.
For your journey, and I guess growing up, what are your biggest music inspirations? Like, who were your biggest musical inspirations, and do you have any, like, videographers or visual inspirations that got you into videography as well?
Yeah,
on that side?
so the first, I'd say, real musical inspiration is definitely Michael Jackson. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson when I was a kid. Like, the 90s, he was the biggest thing in the world. I think people born after the 90s wouldn't quite understand how big he was. He was a legitimate phenomenon. I mean, if you imagine like Taylor Swift now, she is massive, obviously. Michael Jackson was a cultural phenomenon, though. He was part of the like national psyche. He was that big. But I distinctly remember my mum had like a box of cassettes, and I was really little, and I remember holding the bad cassette and saying, who's this woman? Because I thought he was a woman when I first saw him, because he looked a bit like Diana Ross. And I was like, yeah, and she put it on, and it just blew me away. And obviously watching his videos and stuff, that kind of started probably the fuse for videography as well, because he made like mini movies, you know, like
Yeah, he
Moonwalker,
did.
and
Very storytelling videos.
yeah, and he's just the GOAT, like the best entertainer of all time, bar none, in my opinion. Just the whole package, just insanely talented, and just yeah. And then I grew up with metal, so I had like bands like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Wasp were a big one. They were like my dad's favorite band. And I also like, because my best friend, his brother made rave. Like he was a proper rave DJ with the turntables and that. And so I picked up a little bit of that, but I never felt like I really fitted in that scene.
Have you ever DJ'd sets?
Have I?
Yeah.
No, I had turntables, but I never was
I'll
any
totally
good
go
at
to
it.
MC set.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'd be pretty weird, I reckon. Pretty off the wall. But I one day my friend, I think he was listening to Limp Bizkit of all bands, and I just loved it. I unironically love Limp Bizkit, but also that got me onto Korn, who were like my favorite band ever. The singer is like my idol pretty much in terms of vocal, not
Okay.
so much performance, but maybe like he was the first artist I ever heard that sung about abuse and depression and anxiety, and basically taught me you don't have to be ashamed of being a man and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you see some his lyrics and performances are incredibly emotional and full of rage. And as an angry, emotional teenager with depression and anxiety, I just connected with them like immediately. And obviously they were like the biggest band in the world at one point as well. And yeah, so those, I'd say. And obviously, I'd be like, I've got to say, I'm a white suburban rapper, so Eminem is obviously a huge inspiration. You know, when I first heard Eminem, my friend's brother bought back a tape from the States, and it had "My Name Is," "Guilty Conscience," and "Just the Two of Us," 97 Bonnie and Clyde on it. And we played it quietly in my bedroom, and I'd never heard anything like it. Like I'd obviously heard some hip hop, like the Fugees and things like that, but the way he was cartoonishly storytelling, and like talking about fucking murdering his parents. I don't know, I just never heard anything like it. And
Yeah,
obviously,
with how he bends his words when he is
yeah,
delivering, that's why I'm like with like Luce and even you guys, I'm like, y'all, I don't listen to rap or haven't in a long time. I used to on and off, but like finding WCR like turned me back onto rap because like actually hearing you guys, it was the way that you guys all bend your words with the emotion that it actually portrays. I'm like, oh, I feel like I can actually connect with this again.
yeah,
That's how Eminem is. He bends it and he plays with it. I love it.
he's super intelligent as well. Like I know
Yeah.
people think he's corny, and he is a bit. Like some of his stuff is very corny, but the way he told these horrorcore cartoonish stories, even my dad loved it. Like when he heard it, my dad had his Curtain Call greatest hits album. He just galvanized white suburbia, like we all suddenly got into hip hop. He was a gateway for a lot of kids, I'd imagine, into proper hip hop. So he is obviously a huge influence. A lot of my style does sound kind of similar to old Eminem. I get compared
Your
to him quite
storytelling
often.
too. Your story, you're very good. Like your lyrics always tell such a story.
Thank you. Well, sometimes,
Thank
anyway.
you.
At least when I'm being serious.
Yeah. Well, we'll see on this other one that's fun.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It is. It's weird.
Yeah, I think that MJ too. Like, I mean, I guess I wouldn't have guessed, but I kind of with how you do like the 80s synthwave and stuff like that, like a lot of it kind of makes sense now hearing your different influences and seeing the work that you've done and like it makes sense with your different aspects of, you know, what's you found on your music journey to take with you. I love it. Your unique style, how would you describe your unique style as opposed to other artists? I don't know if you know local artists there. I don't know how local Rogue is or any of them, or if you're in that scene there, or like how unique is it, you know, even I know how unique it is in our community. But like just everywhere else, you know, you have a specific style.
It's weird. England, I don't fit in here really, because
Well, we'll take you.
yeah, well, that's what happened. Everything I was taught rap wise by other rappers and was American. Like it was all online. It was all American rappers, American peers that taught me stuff, and I don't sound anything like British hip hop, which is fine. You know, British hip hop's great. It's its own. You know, I don't sound like that though. But you know, there are artists here, like big artists like Roots Maneuver, Task Force, stuff like that, which I like, and I grew up with when I started listening to hip hop. But I always kind of just gravitated more to the American style, probably because I was talking to Americans all the time, and that's where I felt like I fit in. So it does cause some like I just don't really fit in the scenes here very much. And then also Americans think I sound too British, so I'm kind of like stuck in between, where like British people think I sound too American, American people think I sound too British. So it's kind of a bit of a catch-22. I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place. But there are some artists in my town that I really like who do rap. But we're very different, really different. And in fact, I used to be in a group or like a duo, and he was very English and had very English hip hop elements, including like drum and bass elements and stuff. And then you had me who sounded very American. So I am a bit of an outlier, as it were. But I think Mimic's kind of similar because he makes quite American sounding hip hop too. And like he's from the same circles I'm from online, so that makes sense.
Do you ever find yourself when you're like collaborating with an American artist, conforming to how they pronounce stuff? If you're like singing something, have you ever see when I like do when I think I did that one with Mimic for the Tuesday show when I did the backing like screaming, I think it was grunge, that challenge you guys were doing. I realized when I was like after doing it so much, but I was also harmonizing with him, I started pronouncing all my words like him.
Yeah, no,
like, whoa. Do you have that problem on the flip side, I guess, with English and American accents?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, you start talking like us.
I remember Loose Logic was talking about it. It's like MCD bends his words in a really unusual way because like, it's kind of halfway between English and American, and because I've got an English accent, I can get away with half rhymes more that wouldn't work. Like, but yeah, I do pronounce things in an American accent more often than not, which
is something I've always wondered if y'all do too.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, a lot of people give me stick for it because I guess it's not my natural accent. Although I don't think I lose my natural accent completely because you guys are always like, you sound British. So
yeah, you sound British.
It's weird. I guess there's a slight American twang, but that's because I just grew up rapping like that, and it's kind of like ingrained to the extent I can't not do it. It's weird.
Your subconscious kind of adapts to whatever song it probably.
Yeah, it's like how singers sing in an American accent. It's kind of similar, I think. You know, there's very few British singers that sing with a British accent.
There really is. It's always, I've always noticed that. Like, it's crazy that,
You've got like what Lily Allen used to, I guess she used to sound quite English, but you know, Adele sings.
Yeah, Adele definitely.
Yeah. So it's just a similar thing to that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. for your creative process. And obviously, you've had different influences from, pop to rap to rock. Like, how important, because it does seem that, all of your lyrics are very storytelling. And that's kind of what it seems like your influence has been, things that create a picture for the listener or, for someone to connect to. How important is storytelling in your rap lyrics and even your videos that you do, for you personally? And do you have any examples of anything told through, different mediums, of different ways, but maybe the same story? Like if you presented it differently than you thought it would start through the music video once you started it.
So I think storytelling's important. I guess it depends what kind of song you're doing. If you're doing like a club song, you're not going to tell a story particularly, but I think it's cool to take the listener on a kind of journey from A to B, and it depends what I'm doing. If I've done story songs where I've made up fictional characters and told actual legit stories. I did a I can't even remember now, but I've done stories like make believe stories and turn them into songs before. But sometimes, you don't have to do stories. You can just do sometimes people just don't want to hear a story. They just want to hear a nice rhythm and a nice flow and some bars. But storytelling tracks are hard, I think, 'cause you've got to get into an actual kind of a special place to convey those thoughts into a coherent chronological fashion. I don't do them so often anymore because they're harder than just rapping about how good I am. That's what rappers do. We just
I have such a hard time doing that. I'm like,
Really?
I don't writing the like creatures cipher. I'm like,
oh yeah, creatures.
Talk your shit, Nikki. Talk your shit. And like that's
That's
something
it.
I had in text. I'm like, I can't talk my shit.
Right. Well, that's easy. That's easy to me because that's just what we as rappers grew up doing.
Yeah. I'm soft skin.
Yeah, exactly. But telling stories is hard, and being open and emotional, I don't find that hard actually, because I did that a lot. That's how I started. A lot of my rapping was very emo. In fact, a lot of people called me the king of emo rap. This was before emo rap was actually a thing. But it sounds well different to what emo rap actually sounds like. But I used to just be very frank and get very angry and shouty and emotional, and people used to dig it.
How do you not destroy your vocals with the screaming?
They are probably destroyed. But no, the screaming is a fry scream, so you're not actually
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're not actually
Fry.
Yeah, you're not like proper really utilizing your vocal cords. You're just kind of pushing air out of your diaphragm and like crushing it down.
You might have to do a screaming like tutorial. WCR.
Some days it's weird. Some days it's a lot easier. Some days I just can't get it right, but some days I can. But it's just whispering, and then you push air behind, and it like comes, gradually gets louder and louder.
Crescendo, diminuendo.
Yeah, because proper screaming is, some people do that, but that hurts. So I'm not really into that. But Rogue's done a few lately. He was learning how to do it, and he did he showed me one of them, and it was really good. So high ones are easier than low ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's
why, because you're already like, you kind of get into that falsetto register almost like by just pushing the air,
Yeah, kind of. I feel like low, it's just hard because I can't explain it. It is a hard thing to like put into words what you're even doing.
Yeah, I've tried and almost killed my vocal cords just to see if I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, my vocals, I don't warm up or anything. I'm very bad with looking after my voice, and obviously I smoked for a long time, and don't do that. You know, you should like. Ryan always used to have a go at me because I would just go in cold and I'd have like coughing fits and stuff. And it would take me about 10 takes before my voice would warm up to be like, okay, that's what I need to sound like. Whereas he'd be walking around with a glass of like hot milk or something, doing the whole la 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 like stuff for 20 minutes. Yeah, I'd be like, no, I don't have time for this. I'm just going straight in.
My sister does that to me. She comes over, she said, we need to warm up. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah, so it's not
but I
good.
do need to warm up because then I'll start singing. I'll be like, okay, no, I got to warm up. I'm in like my low, like morning.
Yeah, I just have massive
like I get
coughing
some very man.
No, that's it.
When you are doing your, you know, screaming and such, do you enjoy like what part of, I guess, your voice that you found and like your different genres that you do? What's your favorite part? Do you like the rapping part the best? Do you like singing and doing the screaming stuff because you get to get everything out? Like, you know, what's your favorite part of all of that?
I love singing, but I cannot sing very well. So if I could sing really well, I don't think I'd rap. I love singing, but I'm not great at it. I know my limitations, which some people don't, I think, and they put out pretty horrible music. But I know I'm limited, so when I do record singing, I know what I can and can't do, and maybe I'll try and push the envelope a little bit sometimes just to make it a bit more interesting. But no, I love singing and yeah, screaming and stuff because I love metal. Metal is my number one love in terms of music I enjoy. I love hip hop, don't get me wrong, but metal is my number one. So but I love doing I just love recording music, you know. I think even now, 20 years in, when you record a track and you sit back and listen to it and it actually sounds good, it still gives you that feeling where you're just like, yeah, this is fucking so much fun. And that was the other thing I hated about the music industry, actually. It became not fun. It started to become my job, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't like the old days where we would gather in my room around we'd all write, have a few drinks and just make songs, and they were fun. It was too serious and too much, I guess, pressure, but it just wasn't fun. And making music, you want to have fun with it, otherwise what's the point?
Yeah.
So that's what I try and do now.
How do you know when you know, obviously everybody feels the pressure and stuff like that, especially when you're doing collabs and say things are due or you're behind on stuff? How do you overcome any type of blockages and such like that that might make you be like, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to, you know, like, have you ever shut down on music, I guess?
Yeah, no, I'm terrible for it. I ghost people. I'm flaky. I'm just being honest. Sometimes when I'm focused on something, I can like smash out track after track after track, and I will get something back to you within hours. I will, you know, really go out of my way. But sometimes I guess some days you record and it just doesn't sound right, or your voice doesn't sound right, or I don't know, stuff just isn't happening for you, and that can be really demotivating. And then other times you'll kind of just stroll up to the mic and the first take you do sounds amazing and you're just like, wow, this is great. But yeah, I struggle with it because I don't like letting people down. And I do get overwhelmed sometimes, which is probably my own fault because I think I bite off more than I can chew, when I should just be like, no, do you know what? I'm not really keen on this collab, or I'm not available to do this right now because I don't have time. And the same with video stuff. It's, you know, some days making lyric videos, they take like 10 hours or something. So and it can be really repetitive and really boring, and it can be soul destroying sometimes. And sometimes I should just say no when people ask me, because I want to make I don't want to let them down. I want to make them something good that they'll be like, you know, proud of, and be like, this is my lyric video for my new song, rather than just saying yeah and like kind of struggling through it and making something that maybe isn't as good as I would like. So I need to learn to say no, really.
I think that's with all of us. I feel like that's one of my biggest issues is I'll be like, oh, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, what collabs do I have? Like, what am I behind on? Like,
no, I'm terrible. Like,
definitely.
Bird in the chat there, I have a track with him that all I need to do is fucking turn up my vocal or his vocal by 1 decibel and send it back. And I just haven't done it yet.
Especially if it's a project that like you've spiraled on or spun on.
Yeah.
It's so hard to come back to those.
I need to do it. I am flaky. And that's unfortunate.
I feel like that's with every musician though. Like it's hard when you have so much going on too to balance. Like, and you do more than just music, you know, with the videography and stuff. Are you still doing, you know, your services as like, you know, getting paid to do that for other people on top of, you know, regular job, family, everything.
No, all of it.
But you do good though.
I try. I do enjoy it. Like at the end of the day, that's, you know, I don't, if I didn't enjoy it, I would just stop. Hence why I stopped doing reaction videos over the summer, because I just wasn't in the right headspace.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot of traction. You know, people. I see I watch other reactors to see who are like a similar stage that I am, to see what they do, and they just pump out like 3 or 4 a day, and I'm like, I just don't know how you can keep the energy to do that and be genuine.
They're probably not.
No, well, this is what I said, and I was like, exactly, and I just said I'm sorry, but I took a break. I started again day before yesterday, and I lost a bit of traction, but hopefully at least the people who are commenting would prefer that I was genuine and honest, rather than just doing a video for the sake of doing a video, which I don't want to do. Yeah. But again, that's a control thing. That is like, you know, if I really, really just wanted to be famous, I would just do it anyway, regardless of how I was feeling. But I don't want to do that.
I think that's an important thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration, is like how they're feeling or certain things like that, you know, where they would just pump stuff out just to, you know, keep the traction going or keep the audience and stuff. But I think that it's really significant that you do consider, you know, your feelings, and I know respectfully as a man, respectfully, not calling anybody out, that you do even like speak about them and stuff. It's awesome. Like, I'm glad that you do. And even bringing up, you know, when you were younger and the things that, you know, listening to Korn made you feel like you could speak about or sing about and such. How do you feel? Because I know that those themes have been in a lot of your music. How do you feel that impacts your listeners? How Korn impacted you?
I think, well, I like to hope that it gives a similar kind of reaction, you know, that they're not alone. And I do think there is a lot more understanding and support around mental health now than there was when I was a teenager. I know it's still not good. It's still not good enough, like mental health services and stuff. But I feel it's easier now for people to say, I'm not okay. Whereas when I was a kid, I was told to man up. You know, boys don't cry, that kind of thing.
That kind of shit needs to stop.
That's 100%. 100%. But I have, you know, I've had messages and emails from complete strangers saying, you know, this song really resonated with me. You know, I've had depression, I've been suicidal, and I this song is amazing to me, and even if it just changes one person's trajectory, that is all worth it, you know. I don't really make music like that anymore. I haven't for a little while because I found it quite, it's hard, it's exhausting because it is tiring, you know, letting those emotions out on a record. And I'm older now. I still have mental health problems, but they're not, maybe not quite as intense as they were when I was a lost young man.
Yeah.
So I don't make it as much as I used to. I have I have a lovely family and stuff. I don't feel quite the same way I did, but those feelings don't just go away just because I'm grown up now. It doesn't mean I can't be depressed or have crippling anxiety and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
I just, I like say if it helps one person, then it's worth it to me to keep going.
Yeah, I think that you too, with your, even how you talked about your creative process and stuff, like even with Norman and stuff, like you get into the head of, that person. So like, I got to imagine, if you were to write about, those, mental health and like, depression and anxiety and stuff like that at this point when you're, feeling healthy and stuff, I could see that, possibly getting you back into that headspace. And like, what's the point? Like, I'm not there anymore. I've gotten it out. Do you think that you getting those songs out helped you move on from that?
It definitely helped me process.
Not on completely, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
be, I guess, regulate and deal with it.
Yeah,
Where
100%.
it's affecting your every minute.
Yeah, music is like catharsis, and it was it just helped me process my feelings, and and the fact that people would listen to it and enjoy it, it helped me understand I'm not alone as well, because people were listening and saying this really helped me, or I really like the song. A few of my more emotional songs were pretty popular on the internet, and that's for a reason, like because people were relating to it or digging it or whatever. So yeah, it's always helped me in some way. But like you say, it can be a box of worms you don't want to revisit. A can of worms, box of worms. I don't know what that even is. So yeah, I mean, and getting back into that headspace can be a bit, it puts you in a downer. You don't really want to.
Yeah,
but
to actually be able to emote it, to connect, like it would have to, like that's one of the things that I've always had an issue with even like trying to like sing other people's lyrics. Like rapping I'm fine with, and I don't know why, like I can rap anybody's writing, like, but like singing, it always takes me like twice as long because I'm like trying to really get into that mind of that emotion that's being portrayed. And if it's like a love song and I'm not in love, like that's hard,
Well, this is the thing I've always had an issue with, and why I don't connect with certain singers, because they can be technically incredible, but they'll be on stage singing about real deep, heavy stuff, and they'll be singing it amazingly, but I don't believe them. I have to like believe what they're actually singing about.
Crack your voice a little bit, like you're about to cry.
100%. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's happened to him or where he's gone, but James Arthur, do you remember him? He kind of had a bit of a career in the United States, but he came from a British reality TV show. He came from X Factor, which is basically
watch X Factor.
Yeah.
All the Love Island UK and all that shit in UK is way better than American TV.
Well, I mean, X Factor used to be quite a big deal here. It was good at one point, and he just gave me goosebumps because I believed what he was singing. He sung a cover of "No More Pain" by Mary J. Blige. And he just got into it so much. He was like having a freak out on stage. And that, again, going back to Korn, Jonathan Davis, the singer, he break down on stage, like really get in. And that's what made me, I don't know, it inspired, it kind of bled into my own stuff, because when I used to gig, I've had like a few breakdowns on stage, and people used to watch it like it was like a freak show. People were like would gravitate to it because it was
Yeah, they don't like boo you or anything. They're
no,
just like,
it's
you
just like
feel the
stunned
emotion.
silence, like
Yeah,
actual
connect,
like.
like,
But then and I'd always have good experiences. It'd be like, and then you'd get a real round of applause and people really cheering you on to finish the set. And I think I just always wanted to be like, yeah, I wanted people to believe what I was saying. So and it used to be hard to sing or do certain songs, definitely.
yeah.
Because I try and kind of like disassociate and compartmentalize when I'm performing. I'm like doing a song about my sister passing away, and I'm like trying not to like think about it, and you can't help it, and then I just start crying as I'm doing, and it's hard. So, but I haven't performed live for a little while, so it's okay.
Did you used to perform live a lot?
Yeah, a fair bit. Yeah, I did enjoy it. It was hard because I get so nervous to the point I'd be nearly throwing up before, like, but once I was on, after the first 10 seconds, I didn't want to get off, like you don't want to come off.
So you get a little bit of stage fright?
Oh, 100%. I think most people do, though, don't they? Unless you're a psychopath.
My knees shake on stage. I'm like,
yeah, it's scary, and especially if you get a crowd that just aren't into it, it's not fun.
Yeah,
but that didn't. Yeah, it didn't happen to me very often, but it's.
How many shows have you done?
I mean, I didn't do loads, probably a couple dozen, maybe.
All local?
Yeah, pretty much.
How long ago where did you stop gigging?
About 10 years now, probably. I did one last sort of hometown headline show with a few bands supporting me, and then I just stopped because I did really enjoy it, but it's
a tasking life.
Yeah, and
being in those environments too is hard. A lot of the times at different bars and stuff like that. That's what I noticed going to my sister's gigs and my dad's is like, sometimes the crowds aren't great. People might not tip, but like it's still, they love doing it. But it just, I know that it wears on you as a person. I've seen it, as opposed to just recording in a studio, the two sides of music.
Yeah, it's also like rapping. I didn't like being up there and just being a glorified karaoke artist, because a lot of rappers do that, and myself included. You go up, you have your instrumentals on a backing track, and you're just basically doing karaoke. And I just always thought that was so boring to watch. So that's another reason why I kind of stopped doing it, because I wanted to have like live musicians. I mean, I've been on stage a few times with actual bands, which was so much more fun.
Were you rapping or doing like rock?
Rock. Like I did. So we had a show I remember it was in a pub, and it was packed. This is when pubs were like really popular, and there was a band playing. They were really good, and they impromptuly called me up to just do a cover of "Killing in the Name Of" by Rage Against the Machine, because they knew I rapped. We knew each other not very well, but they knew I was a rapper. I knew they were playing, and they were like, "Come on, we're all drunk." So like, I went up and did it, and it was the most fun I've ever had. People were throwing tables over. It was fucking awesome.
That song does go hard.
Yeah, and this is like
guitar,
yeah, exactly. It was so good, like so much fun, and it was just way better than just being up there with a backing track.
Yeah.
Like actually having the guitarist fucking jumping into you and stuff, and feeling the music, Yeah. And the timing isn't 100% perfect. You actually have to like listen to what they're playing and stuff.
Yeah, listen to the actual drums. Hope the drum and the guitarist don't switch leads.
Yeah, exactly. It's just fun, man. I really loved it. And like I say, people were on tables, flipping tables over and going absolutely mental. So I just had the best time ever.
Is that one of your favorite live shows? I
think so. And then we did it again properly at like a festival, like a local festival, and that was fun as well. Yeah, I think that was probably I did a live show on Halloween one year, and we called it Dead by Dawn, and I headlined it, and then there were quite a few bands. Huh?
Did you do a bunch of your horror music?
I was in a weird place then. I kind of had no identity at this point. I was making all kinds of songs. I remember I had a cover of Disturbia by Rihanna and like other things. There's just like all over the place. But that was a fun gig. I was absolutely smashed. So I don't really remember it very well. But
What were you for Halloween? What'd you dress as during the show?
I was like had surgeon's gown on with like bloody shit all over me. And then I did a costume change. I got changed into normal clothes for like the serious portion of my set, where I did like the sadder stuff. Because I didn't really want to do an emotional song dressed as like, I don't know, just look weird.
Bloody
but yeah, that was a good show. That was fun.
When you were gigging, were you still recording at home?
Yeah.
Or studio recording? Yeah. How did you balance doing all that?
I mean, for the gigs, I didn't really rehearse. I just winged it. I do that a lot. I wing things, or I leave it to the last second. So it wasn't too bad, you know. It's just one night, a couple of hours. Yeah. I'd have to like help usually set stuff up, do a little sound check, and then that was it really. Horrible nerves, so I'd get really drunk. I remember one show I did with my friend. I think it was on my birthday. For a laugh, we were like, "Oi, should we lip sync a whole song and see if anyone notices?" So we halfway through the set, we had this track played, and we mimed the whole thing, and nobody was noticing it. And we were even taking like mouthfuls of our drink and like talking to each other, and no one noticed. Like that was fun. Just stuff like that.
That's crazy. That's a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time back then.
Yeah. So for your touring days, those are over. Have you had any type of criticism when you were touring? Like, have you had negative experiences at all? Or I guess gigging live or touring, whatever you want to call it. When you were doing live music, did you have any like bad experiences with fans, or I guess memorable experiences besides the killing in your name of, like how you've gotten messages from people saying that, you know, your music affected them? Has that happened after your shows at all?
Yeah, I don't think I've had any bad experiences gigging actually. But yeah, I mean, like I say, that I didn't do any really massive shows, so. And I did get people come up to me and say I really enjoyed that, or wanting to give me a hug because I was like, always like an emotional wreck, which was nice. But no, I wouldn't say I've had any bad experiences. I've had a lot of people dislike me online for like my music and stuff, but I think a lot of that goes with the territory of being a rapper. And people there's always negative. There is not an artist in existence who is universally liked by absolutely everyone. So that, you know, that doesn't bother me too much.
You need to remember that. Can't be liked by everyone.
No.
For your doing, you know, gigging and such, how do you feel that has impacted your trajectory of music to where you are now? Do you think that it changed your style, your, you know, voice or anything like that?
I think it just made me want to be more sonically interesting, because like I say, rapping is the most accessible form of DIY bedroom music, really. You find a beat, and then you rap over it. It's like easy to set up. You just need a mic, you know, a USB mic and a computer with GarageBand or I don't know, any kind of DAW, and then you're away. But I've always kind of wanted, I don't want to sound boring, but then boring is subjective. So I just know that's why I stopped gigging, because I was only going to do it if I had a live band to do it with. You know, so I guess it changed me in the sense that I just never wanted to make something that people would think this is really boring.
Definitely understandable. You don't want to lose the fan base, and even if you make something for yourself, it still doesn't. You don't want it to be boring. I
No,
definitely can see
exactly.
that. I've never really thought about that from the aspect as a rapper being like, doing karaoke on stage as opposed to live bands. I've always watched live bands,
Yeah.
like, and I've never really thought about even the aspect or dynamic of a rapper with a live band behind them.
Well, that's, I mean, if you watch a lot of like Eminem, Jay-Z performances, they often will have a live band because it's visually more interesting, and you can like mix up the songs a bit and make them slightly more, slightly different to what they are on the record. So yeah, that I just can't imagine. I've never been to a gig to watch a famous artist, just them and a backing track. I'd be so bored, and I didn't want to be that guy, so I stopped.
For sure. For your journey, if there's any types of artists in our community that are possibly, gigging live, or thinking about it, any type of advice you might have for them?
It's a gig. Just go out and have fun, man. Like, if you got to have a couple of drinks to summon up the courage, that's fine, as long as how you come across on stage will translate onto the people watching. So if you come on as a nervous wreck, people will pick up on that. If you come on confident, it doesn't matter if you're not on top form or the most incredible live performer ever. If you're confident and charismatic, people will just naturally dig it and gravitate towards it anyway. But the bottom line is just don't be scared. It's entertainment at the end of the day, and I definitely suggest doing it because it's an experience, and you might really enjoy it, because I do feel it is incredibly rewarding. Like, it's basically, so when you make a song on a record and you put it out and say 30 people love it or like it, it's like seeing that in real time when you're performing live. Like, those 30 people are right there. Like, so you get that gratification, and it's a vibe just bouncing off the crowd.
Energy.
If the crowd are up for it and energetic, you will feel like you could do it for 20 years. You don't want to get off because you feed off the energy of the crowd. So if you've got a dead crowd, it's horrid, but you've got to hype them up, I guess. Just try and make eye contact with people as well. It's always important, I think. And there's this myth, I hate it when they're like, oh, don't close your eyes. You can close your eyes as much as you want. I've never understood that. Like, some people like, don't close your eyes when you sing. You've got to maintain eye contact. It's like, I feel
How do
like
you put your emotion out there?
yeah,
if you're
well,
feeling
that's exactly what I said. I was like, yeah, that might work if you don't believe what you're singing, but if you're really feeling something, you're going to close your eyes at times. But yeah, just try and relax and interact with the crowd as well. That's important. Don't just come on, say nothing, do your stuff, and then leave. And if you are at a gig with other musicians, always stick around and watch their set as well. Don't be one of them that just do their shit and then leave. No one likes those people.
Yeah, they're the worst. So looking ahead in your career so far, you've done a lot. What are your, I guess, goals, plans? I know that you said that you don't really want to be famous anymore or anything like that. What do you see, I guess, short-term goal for you with your music?
With music, I just want to keep making music. Maybe it will reach more people as White Collar Rhymes grows. and I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and enjoy the journey as we keep moving forwards. I want to keep doing my reaction channel because I'm really enjoying that, and it's awesome to hear all this music I wouldn't have heard in a million years otherwise, and interacting with that community because they're awesome. And I also want to write a novel, so that's another thing I want to do. But
a novel about what?
I've already done 38,000 words, so I'm a good third of the way through. Just like a horror adventure novel, kind of based. It's like a love letter to my childhood in the 90s. It's very Stephen King / Stranger Things /
Cool.
Nightmare on Elm Street / it's cool. I've enjoyed writing it. I need to pick it back up, but this is what I mean. I've got so many things on the go. I just,
Yeah. And do you have plans of making an album to go with the book?
maybe if I actually ever finish it, maybe, who knows? But it'd be cool to do a 90s kind of album with like 90s sounds, like grunge and
doing those videos. You could redo some of your. You might have home videos.
I do have home videos, so yeah, maybe of me as a child with my curtains, we called it. Did you have that over there with the center parting and the bowl cut?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And bowl cut, but like how my hair's parted.
Yeah. So that's what we all looked like in the 90s. But it was the best decade. I say that as a child of the 90s.
And then I know that you were talking about, I know that you've explored a lot of different genres and such, and you were talking about, dark pop before. Is there any new genres that you have on the horizon that you are going to be experimenting with?
Like I said, I like to do a grunge thing. That would be cool. I do want to do more metal stuff, like whether it be new metal or which obviously leans on hip hop quite a lot. So I kind of, that's quite an easy way to get into metal. I love metalcore, which is a lot heavier. Don't know if I've quite got the vocal chops to pull that off, but yeah, I'm not sure if there's any genres really
Definitely grunge is next on your radar.
Yeah, potentially. I think grunge, and I guess I'll go back to synthwave at some point as well. And like I said, the whole K-pop thing, it would be fun to do something in that vein. I know for anyone watching, I know K-pop isn't a genre, but that kind of fusion of different genres, just crazy theatrical, mental, that would be fun. I just need to figure out how I do it because I'm not a very good singer, so I'd have to figure something out.
I'm sure that you figure something out. I don't think you're a terrible singer, but no, it's definitely good to know limitations. It's something I'm learning.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not great, and it's fine. I'm not, I don't mind not being good at it. It's okay to not be amazing at singing, but I wish I was because I really, I love singing.
For our listeners, because I do a little bit of advice for them. Any, I guess, advice on anybody possibly just starting, or and also advice on someone for anybody that might be blocked or struggling with continuing music.
Join our community or become part of a community anyway. If not ours, then find a community to become a part of, because 1, you can lean on them for support. 2, you can bounce ideas off each other and criticism and collaboration and stuff like that. And seek out your peers, especially, I know it sounds cliche, but the older ones who've been in the music industry and been around for a while, because they can give you a bit of guidance. And don't forget, to young people starting, obviously I'm old and I appreciate their input because like their music and style and genres are new to me, and I'm an old man now. I'm out of touch, but I like to keep my finger on the pulse a little bit and take ideas from them, you know, I don't want my music to be stale and dated.
Yeah.
But as advice to them, yeah, like seek out a community because I feel that helps you grow and it gives you a support system as well for your music. And if you are watching this, yeah, you should join the White Collar Rhymes community because we look after each other. And there's all kinds of artists in there. There's singers, rappers, videographers, producers, people who don't even make music who just enjoy being part of a community. So I do think it's really, really, really important, especially if you're a bit introverted like I am. It just helps you come out of your shell a bit as well. You know, we've had
Has
like
having the community helped with, you know, mental health and stuff like that as well? Having that support system of the community, even of them, you know?
yeah, 100%. I mean, they've been great at supporting me. When my son was born, obviously it was a very, very difficult time because my dad passed away on the same day. And the community sent me some like $400 or $500 to get my son some like presents and stuff. And the community bought me a GPU for my PC for my video editing, and we've bought microphones and equipment and stuff for younger artists starting out, and it's just been really helpful. And it's even been really helpful to just go in there and shit talk sometimes. You know, some days there's nothing going on, but we just have a laugh where we just, you know, roast each other or post memes all day or just stuff like that. There's always something happening. And yeah, the community, you know, I'm part of them and I love those guys, but I think like White Collar Rhymes genuinely feels like home with like-minded people who share a common vision for a community, which I think is great.
Yeah, it's a little bit different too. I feel like it's more of probably a bigger community, you know, more so than a group, and they're all in there too.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
exactly. They all come over.
they're
And
all in there
you've
too.
seen young artists, you know, Rogue is only 20, isn't he? 20? He tells me. I always forget. I think he's 20. And
Oh no, he's 20 now. He'll be 21 this year.
he's 20. And he joined the community, you know, and he's watching him grow and just come out of his shell, and he's trying all kinds of new things, and it's just quite amazing to watch, really. And we've got a few people like that, you know. You've got JB or Chronoflow, sorry, in there and stuff, and there's quite a few younger people in there now who I forget their names, but I have seen them in there, you know, starting out in music, and it's awesome, you know. So, and
Yeah.
I think that's the great thing about our community, because we're not like the older ones like us. We're not massively hands-on. It's not like we're like, no, you've got to do it this way. We're not at all. I think we're learning from them just as much as they are from us. So it's cool like that. It's like a symbiotic relationship which benefits everybody.
It is. Have you with Rogue? I know that you know, him coming in younger, being another UK guy. Have you kind of taken like a wing in mentorship and like helped him out with stuff? Have you taken that role with, because you know a lot. You are an expert at like everything you do. You know.
Yeah, he asked me sometimes for things that I could try and help with. He sent me the odd demos of tracks he's working on. But I think Rogue like is more confident than he thinks he is. Like he comes across as quite. I think it's a British thing as well that we're quite self-deprecating. We don't fully believe in ourselves, and we take like the Mickey out of ourselves. But I think Rogue is more confident than he believes, and way more like talented than he actually thinks he is. because I was nowhere near as good as him when I was his age. And I know we were very different because he's not really a rapper, is he? He's more of a, I guess, a singer, really.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be massive. Like, I genuinely think he'll do really, really well. And it's just awesome to have him around because he keeps me young. He teaches me stuff that I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And he'll explain.
I
So,
know. He'll say something, I'm like, what? And he's like, well, I'm like,
yeah, exactly. So
I feel 60 now.
And he's taught me loads. You know, the Tuesday show, yeah, it was mine and his idea, like joint idea. But he was the one who set up the stream because I was like, I don't even know how to set up a stream.
The intro, the iCarly intro he made.
Just stuff like that, you know. And
yeah, he does a lot of different stuff. He's done a lot of different streams too. The Friday and then going to the Tuesday
he does
show.
not sleep ever. He just doesn't sleep.
He doesn't. It's crazy.
When we finish the Tuesday show and we go off air, we like talk for like 5 minutes usually, and me and Nils would be like, right, I'm going to bed now, and you know Rogue's not going to bed for another 5 or 6 hours yet. So it's but then I do remember being his age and being online until like the early hours of the morning every night on MSN back in the day.
MSN,
AOL. AIM, yeah.
ASL.
All the time. That's it. So he's no different. He's very, you know, when I think back, he is literally just me, but northern, with a funny accent.
I'm glad that he does have, you know, someone that's, you know, not over here only, you know, someone that's over on his side of the world too, because like obviously there's different issues too, like that. So it's nice that he has someone like you that is, you know, you do look at him like that because he'll always have that kind of, you know, mentor protector type, you know, relationship because of that. It's very nice.
Yeah, I'd like to I need to get him. He's gonna come down here, I think. I said he can stay here for a couple nights or something. I was gonna take him out and be fun to hang out with him, you know, like he's I don't want to say he's uncultured, but some of his food
he doesn't
tastes,
leave the house.
Yeah, some of his food tastes are very questionable.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to take him to an actual like Indian restaurant or something, or a Chinese restaurant, and just stuff like that. You know, my days of going out and getting really drunk are over. So and I know he doesn't like that anyway. So, you know, we could do something. And I like to
go out, make some music.
Yeah, make some music, make a video. I need to get Nils. Nils only lives 10 minutes down the road from me, so like he could we are going to try and meet up at some point and do some stuff.
That's awesome. So at the recap of the show, I am building an artist toolkit with just 5 different, you know, pieces of advice from all of our WC artists to, you know, put out just a little PDF type thing if anybody needs it. So I have, you know, community is important from you and put yourself out there. Those are the 2 biggest themes. Any other pieces of advice for the toolkit? I normally get 5 things. So if you have 3 more pieces of advice for any artists that might need it at any point in their journey.
Be yourself, and I would say don't give a fuck what people think, but that's not necessarily true. I'd say be true to yourself, like be genuine, 100% be genuine, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
I like that. That's what I was you know, talking about earlier too, with vulnerability and like you know, with people singing with their eyes open, or, you know, not actually cracking down at like a song that's like, you know, really hits them. It doesn't make you feel like you're connecting. So you have to have that vulnerability to actually connect with your audience if that's what you're trying to do. So I think it's a great piece of advice. I think that's overlooked a lot. That's what makes auto-tune hard, is it's hard to hear the emotion in the tune.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of the vocal.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I mean, everyone loves, you know, even myself included, like a club song or something that has no deep meaning. It's just a vibe or whatever. But I say, like, create a legacy for yourself and be genuine and put yourself out there, because those are the artists and songs that stand the test of time, you know? Whereas I mean, there's so many club songs that I forget them within a year, you know, but the ones I remember and the ones that are legendary are usually songs with actual relatable emotion or lyrical content or whatever. So I just think as a music consumer, I listen to music that is genuine. That's the stuff I enjoy. I really enjoy listening to.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. The stuff that gives you even the goosebumps.
Yeah.
Makes you tear up a little bit, even if it's not, even if it doesn't, even if you don't relate to it, if they can still make you tear up because you can feel their emotion. That's
100%. I sometimes I'll enjoy a song so much that isn't even a sad that I nearly cry. I can feel myself well up, where I just connect with the song so much. Even it might not even be the lyrics; it might just be the drum pattern or something. Like, it's weird. I don't know if that's that's my like autism or something, but it's just
empath. It's your empath.
Yeah, or it's sometimes I'll hear like a little synth or a piano melody that I like so much that I feel myself well up when I hear it. It's weird, but
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, not weird. I think that's awesome that you can feel through that, because a lot of people can feel through the lyrics but not the beat. You know, that's you love music and it saves your life every day.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say to our viewers before we log off for the day, so you can go watch? I don't know what that is.
Arsenal and Aston Villa. Yeah, watch the Tuesday show every Thursday and go on to my channel.
Thursdays now for good?
Yeah, I think so. It's just easiest for me because I have a child, obviously, and my partner works night shifts and funny shifts and that. But yeah, watch the Tuesday show every Thursday at 7:30. Join the White Collar Rhymes Discord and become part of the community. Also, head over to my channel and watch my reaction videos because they're fun. But otherwise, thank you for putting yourself through this hour and 47 minutes of listening to me waffle on. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming up and giving me an interview. We haven't been able to do this before, so I thought that it was great getting to know a little bit more about you and where you came from and experience that I didn't know that you had. So I appreciate it. And also, making me tear up a couple of times. And I do also want to thank you for talking about your mental health. It is huge, especially and I hate to say it, Ben, like, it's just, you're shoved down so much. So I'm glad that you're not shoved down and you're open up and you let other people open up too. It creates a safe space, and I appreciate that.
No, well, thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about stuff like that.
For sure. So everybody, hope you have a great weekend. We'll probably restream this on Monday, and then we have the Wednesday review show, and then we have the Tuesday show on Thursday, and then I believe is it this weekend is the competition.
Oh, it is.
Ending?
It must be 20. Yes, it is this weekend, isn't it?
So this will be, and then over the weekend we will have a course of competitions, and then we don't have a Nikey Joe show next week because of the competition. And then might end up streaming on a different day in Georgia. So you guys have a great weekend.
Peace.